Hello, and welcome to an intro to Anthro with two humans. I'm human number one, John McCray.
And I'm human number two, John Lehr.
And this is the podcast where we reassess what it means to be human. And the title of this episode is, I Want My Wawa, Why Humans Need Water. So, John, today we're going to be talking about water and humans' relationship with water.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, if you got to go to the bathroom, you better
Now's
go
the
now.
time. Okay, good to know.
You and our listeners, because we're going to be talking about running water, drinking water.
I already got to go.
Okay, we better pause it. When I was researching this one this week, I found myself going to the bathroom like every 5 minutes.
Well, we're getting that old man, we're in our mid-50s now, or late 50s. So, we're peeing more and more. I guess when you get into like your 70s and 80s, what? Do you just sleep on the toilet and just squirt out every hour a little bit, a teaspoon?
I had a friend of mine who's older. I won't say it is. It's a relative. But he said, I've reached that point where now it's like when I'm passing a bathroom, it's like, well, now that I'm here.
Man. Jesus.
But the reason I wanted to talk about water, John, is because it's one of those things that we take for granted.
Sure do.
It's like true love. You don't realize how special it is until it's gone.
God, that is so true.
Or also how destructive it can be when it gets out of control.
That's true too.
Yeah, I've had a few of those true love relationships.
Yeah, you have.
But in all seriousness right now, I just want to take a moment to just send our thoughts and our prayers and our love out to all the people in Florida and Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, who are affected by the floods and the hurricane.
The way up. Yeah. Boy, it's just, it's amazing. The photos I'm seeing and the reports that I'm reading about. Jesus. So, stay safe out there. And
we're thinking of you guys.
Do what they tell you to do.
Yeah. Anyway, but John, today's episode is going to be like a love song, a sonnet.
Wow.
A
sonnet has a rhyming couplet at the end. Don't forget.
Okay, I'll try to work that in. Remind me. Give me a
I'll remind you.
But it's like a last minute anniversary card to water itself.
Oh.
So water, this episode's for you, you big wet son of a gun.
Yeah.
First of all, John, we got to get some little bit of business background out of the way. Where are you calling in from today?
I am coming to you from Vienna, Austria.
Right.
Yes. And I had a little trouble getting back in time for our record. Our time difference is very different. You're up early in the morning, and it's around dinner time for me. And there's a big demonstration happening in Vienna at the parliament.
Wow.
Everybody's upset that they elected a bunch of right wing.
And
now they're like, wait a second.
Yeah. Not just right wing. It's a little more than just right wing.
Yeah.
I think it's extreme right wing. But
it's kind of scary. And day before I was in Bratislava, Slovakia. Wow. And I took a boat down the Danube River in the rain. It was great. And before that, I was in Sofia, Bulgaria. So kind of the Baltics, we're Eastern Europe, and now we're into Austria, and then we're going to move up to the mothership, the UK. We're going to end our tour in Birmingham, UK.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're, if you could kind of describe it, you're traveling with Susan Messing, who is brilliant.
Brilliant improviser, incredible person. And I can't say enough good things about her. Great teacher.
Yeah.
We did an improv in Bratislava that she just destroyed. It was so great.
That's fantastic.
She's here and she's like, who are you talking about? I said, you. I'm talking about you.
Yeah. And first of all, I also have to say that.
There you go.
I also have to say that it's almost Halloween.
Yeah.
And you're in like vampire and werewolf country.
I know. I was down the Danube where Vlad the Impaler was. Yeah.
But
And by the way, Halloween's kind of an American holiday.
right,
It's like
right.
Valentine's Day. We just sort of cooked it up, I
Yeah.
think. But the Bratislava and
They
Bulgaria, they're kind of into it. I
It's
haven't
a
seen
fun
anything
it's a
in
fun holiday.
It
I was
really
wondering,
is.
have you said I would think that in that part of the world, seeing a vampire or a werewolf is like seeing a roadrunner or a javelina in New Mexico. Have you
Yeah.
seen anything since you've been out? Or
Nope. Nope. But I stayed in a very old Austrian house last night, and it
Ooh,
could easily be haunted. Easily.
ooh.
Yeah.
If some old guy with like red eyes and weird teeth invites you up to his castle to teach him
Oh,
improv,
well,
don't
he's
go
at
up
the
there.
front desk of the hotel.
Okay, so we have to move on. But I just have to say, in a week or two, I'm hoping to have Susan Messing on our
Yes.
show.
Yes.
On our
We'd like to
show.
have her on as a guest.
There
So,
she is. Yes, thank
yep.
you.
There she
Over.
is.
Because I've been doing some thinking myself, and thank you, Susan. I feel that improvised theater taps into all the evolutionary skills and traits that allowed us and our prehistoric ancestors to survive.
I cannot agree more. And
Yeah,
I was just telling you before we went on the air that Vienna is it's so systematic. Everything
right,
is so set up and so precise. But if one thing goes wrong, if there's one unexpected thing, the whole system breaks down.
right,
They are not good at adapting.
right, right.
Yeah. So, yeah. To
So
your point, you got to improvise, man.
right, exactly. And so I feel like all of our evolution has led up to improvisational theater. It's the
I love
culmination
that.
of 2.5 million years.
I love
Uh,
that. That's great. Well, I look forward to that.
right. And so anyway, just be nice to Susan.
Yes.
Yeah, don't piss her off
Yeah.
because it would be awkward for me to have her on the show in a couple weeks if you guys aren't talking to each
You
other.
got that right.
Okay, so, all right, so let's move on. John, it's nice to know that you still have access to the rim shot there
Yeah.
at Vienna.
I lost the
Still
other
sounds
one.
the same.
I
Still
lost-
sounds the same. So are you a water guy? Are
I
you like
am.
really into water?
I am. I drink a lot of water. People notice it. I love water. I always have water near me. It's like
Yeah.
the way I used to treat cigarettes.
Yeah.
I always had a cigarette on me and I always have water nearby. But I'm not one of those weirdos with the big jugs who's like walking around.
A Camelback? Are you wearing Camelback anywhere?
Camelback. Well, yeah, I don't have a Camelback. They always seem unsanitary to me for some reason. A Camelback. Like I'm not going to suck on that.
How much water are you drinking that people are noticing? Is what I want to know.
No, people notice that I drink a lot of water. Because I can't do anything else. It's all I got left. So I sip nervously on water, I guess. Yeah, I like it. I like that it's tasteless.
Yeah.
It quenches my thirst. I like water.
How much water do you think you've had already today?
Today?
Yeah.
A lot, because Austrian water, tap water is really good here. It's
really?
Like it's like supposedly the best water in the world, or at least the Austrians say that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've had a lot. They don't serve you as much water though. They're kind of stingy with the water. They don't come around just with a pitcher filling your water glass up all the time. They like bring your water and that's it.
Yeah.
You're on your own. Pace yourself.
Yeah. How much water do you need?
Yeah, they're like, order a beer, you idiot.
I was about ready to ask if you were into water sports, but I think that means something else, doesn't it?
Yeah. God, you ever seen those guys who do water polo? Jesus Christ. Yeah. I mean, treading water the whole time, the whole game?
I think it's violent under the water too. Like
kicking everybody, they scratch each other, and it's like really horrid.
You have a pool at your house.
I do
too, right?
Yes, which I'm anti-pool.
Really?
Yes, it's a waste for at least my experiences. It's just there's not enough people to be using it. My kids have started to a little bit when they were teenagers, but when they were kids, they'd never go in there. Nobody did. It was just a water feature in our backyard. I was just like, what are we doing?
You don't go out there? You seem like you'd be out there, like sitting around in your flip-flops with the laptop out, working on a script or something. Do you ever do that? Ever take a meeting out
if I could relax like that, I don't know. I'd be an entirely different person. No, I need to be in a black room with no windows. Just a spotlight, a bare bulb hanging from the center. I'm a little like you.
Do you ever, have you ever gone skinny dipping out there?
In the pool? Yeah, I think I have. Yes.
Really?
Yes, I have. And in my underwear a couple of times. Where I'm like, I'm going to jump in. I just take my pants off and jump in.
Yeah. I feel like I would be, I don't know, does it take away the thrill of skinny dipping if it's your own pool and nobody's there? And
I'm telling you, having a pool is like having a boat. It's a lot of work. You don't use it very much.
Yeah.
And it's expensive. And for what? Just rent one,
Yeah. Yeah.
They have an app now called Swimmerly or something, Swimly.
Yeah.
Where you can rent other people's pools for an hourly charge.
No, really?
Yeah. And it's just like Uber where everybody's rated and,
It's like an Airbnb almost just for the pool.
Exactly.
I wonder, I could rent out like my my chair, my recliner maybe. Maybe there's one
that's coming. That's coming.
Just with people that live with a bunch of roommates and would just like to come over and relax in a chair and watch a football game.
I'll pay $15 for 2 hours in the chair.
But I myself, I love water as well. I spent a lot of time at the Lake the Ozarks when I was growing up.
Yes.
I used to live right near Lake Michigan when I lived in Chicago. I was like two blocks away from Lake Michigan.
Did you ever go in?
Lake Michigan, a little bit. It's one of those things where it's really cold. It's almost like the Pacific. There's only a couple weeks in August when it's warm enough you can go in there.
Yeah.
And then you and I both, and then I lived near when I lived in Venice Beach. I lived near the water as well.
Near the water, and you're an ocean guy. I discovered you really liked it. You really took to it.
I really connected with it. I never swam in it that much.
Yeah, because you don't want to. That's poo. There's all poo out there. You don't want to swim in Venice Beach. I tell everybody who's coming out to Venice Beach and as tourists. First of all, everybody's stoned. I mean, every single person is stoned out of their mind. Yeah. And if there's a red flag of any kind near the beach, do not go in there.
Right.
Like, hey, I can float in the ocean. There's salt content. It's not salt content. You're floating on a turd.
Yeah, if you saw what washed out after a big rainstorm or El Nino, and you'd see people out there just splashing around like in February or something.
Yeah, don't do it. Human heads coming out of there, and God knows what.
But I would go out there, and I would just love just sitting, looking at the ocean.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
Yeah, because each day, and it had a personality, like depending on what the weather was, depending on what time of year,
time of day.
Yeah, you could go out there. It sometimes it looked angry, like it was like a lot of energy in there. Sometimes it was just very peaceful and calming. And sometimes you go out there and it would just not be doing anything. Like it would just be like flat.
Still.
Yeah. Which was weird at that point. It'd be kind of like, fuck it. Okay,
Lake
ocean. You
Michigan.
don't want to.
Lake Michigan has that stillness because it's a lake, it's
right. But to see the ocean do it, it was always kind of like weird. It felt weird. It'd be like, oh, fuck you, ocean. Like if you don't want to do anything, I'll go off by myself or something.
Yeah. Some waves.
But I would say that no matter how bad of a day you were having in your life or at work, and I'd have like terrible days at work and in my life, and you would go out there, and if you saw some dolphins swimming up the coast,
fantastic.
Right. Everything was suddenly better.
Yeah.
With that,
or even a big pelican flying over you or something, you know?
When they do the
Oh
dive.
my God. Sometimes they'll fly right over you because they have so much trouble taking off.
Yeah.
You just hear,
They're huge.
You go right over your head.
But anyway, there was something spiritual and comforting about water.
Yeah.
About being near the water.
Yeah.
And in 2010, I moved out here to New Mexico, which is the opposite of the ocean.
It used to be ocean.
Yeah, it used to be 50
It used to be
million
the bottom
years.
of the ocean.
Right. Maybe that's why I like it out here. But it's like the opposite. But I kind of feel the same way. Even out here, the desert kind of moves me in the same way. The lack of water.
It is like the ocean. It's just that, horizon way out there. And
yeah.
The undulating sort of, the land is these rolling hills. Yeah.
So
the plants all look like the stuff you buy and put it at the bottom of your aquarium.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to look at it too. But John, you and I both you live in California, the West, and I live in the Southwest.
Yeah.
And when you live in the Southwest or the West, you're acutely aware of the lack of water.
Yes.
Or like the limited amount of water.
Yes. Some people, except for my neighbor who uses her hose to clean her driveway every day.
Yeah. I was going to say, also, or if you go to Las Vegas, Nevada.
It's just wrong. It's just, we should not be there.
Yeah. And there's fountains everywhere. In Las Vegas.
Green grass.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But for a long time, the only thing I loved seeing in Las Vegas, Nevada, whenever we go, and I have mixed emotions about Las Vegas, but it was the dancing waters outside the Bellagio Hotel.
Yes.
Very
impressive.
Yeah. And whenever they would do, well, first of all, it's like the cheapest thing you can do in Las Vegas because you don't have to pay anything.
Yeah. You can throw up on a street corner for free.
That's the other thing you can do.
Yeah.
But you have to buy something to throw up. I guess that's the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But the dancing
dry heave. You can dry heave for free.
Yeah,
Let's
I
put
never
it
thought
that way.
about that. I'll do that next time I'm there. Go see the waters, and then I'll
go dry heave, get back in the car and head on. Stop at the Hoover Dam.
Yeah, but whenever they play it, there was a song in Italian by the blind tenor, and this, if you heard it, you would know it. But they'd always play it with the water, and it was moving. I'd be mesmerized, even out in the middle of nowhere, out in the middle of the desert, to be near water, even though it was man-made. And I mean, there was still some sort of spirituality about water out here in the middle of Vegas. The water just doing its show.
Incredible. It can just like change on a dime, and on a dime. I mean, it's just like this incredible substance. I mean, we're made of it. Like we're made of water. It's our our cousin, our brother.
Hello, water.
It's us.
But the thing, it's not. Around the world, and even in the Southwest now, you're beginning to see where a lot of the lakes and reservoirs are drying up.
Yeah.
And in 2022 at Lake Mead, which is just outside of Las Vegas, as it started to dry up and the levels went down, they started discovering bodies.
Oh, God.
There. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
And in December 2022, The Guardian reported that, quote, at least 5 sets of remains were found around the lake. A couple who were boating came across a body inside a barrel near a harbor.
In a barrel? Why would you put the barrel?
Like he was murdered. You know what I mean?
You don't want to put it in something that'll preserve it. Cut them up in little pieces and toss them into the lake.
Wow. Right.
That's what you do. Doesn't everybody know that?
We'll put that on the website. And then less than a week later, 2 sisters on paddleboards found a jawbone in the sand. In July, a family out for a picnic discovered partial skeletal remains encased in mud along the shoreline.
Oh, God.
That was. I wonder if you still try to have the picnic after that. And then the same thing has been happening in Europe due to the lack of rain. In September 2022, the New York Times wrote, across Europe, once submerged villages, ships, and bridges, some dating back thousands of years, have reemerged this year as rivers and reservoirs have dried up.
Well, we're going to know a lot more about our heritage.
Right.
But we're all going to die unless we melt an iceberg or something.
Right.
God, it's just a free for all at this point. God.
But they keep noticing like the dolmen of Guadalperal, which is a 4,000 to 5,000 year old megalithic monument called the Spanish Stonehenge. It emerged as well because of
what does it look like?
Again, just with stones kind of set around. I think it's in a circle. Yeah,
well, hell, I could do that.
They also talked about in Rome or in Italy, there was a bridge from the age of Nero, which on the Tiber River, which was exposed as well due to the lack of water.
Well, that's a positive for climate change, right there.
Yeah, glass half full kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then they say in Prahovo, Serbia, water levels in the Danube, which you now are familiar with.
Yes, I was down there. They're high right now because there was a big storm flooding. Yeah.
They said back in 2022, the water got so low that old sunken Nazi World War II boats were being exposed.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's pretty cool.
You say that the waters were high on the Danube?
Yeah, they were high. They were fairly high because we came right before we got in. Was like a huge, a lot of stormy, rainy stuff happening.
Were you coming up the Danube or down the Danube?
Up against the flow. We were going to Vienna.
Okay.
From Bratislava.
How long did that take? Was that
about an hour? It was great. It was perfect.
Really?
Yeah.
God, that's close. I thought it was like a cruise or something, like a couple days on it.
No, It's like not even time for a murder to happen, and one of us be the killers. Nothing. Nothing. It's just like you're in, you're out. But it's so great. I highly recommend it if you can do it. It's like 20 euro. I think it wasn't expensive either.
Really?
No. I think it's more of a commuting thing. People commute. I think like Bratislava's like the Connecticut, whereas Vienna's like the New York City.
Okay.
People have their homes out in Bratislava where it's cheaper, and then they commute in to work in Vienna. I think there's some of that. Yeah.
What time of day did you take? I was looking at the footage that you posted. Was it?
We left at 2:30 in the afternoon and arrived around 3:30.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that was
Isn't that great?
That's amazing. That is great.
It was fantastic. We loved it.
Think of water. There's here going across the Rio Grande, which it runs right through Albuquerque. There's times where the Rio Grande, it's not even flowing anymore. It's just like an intermittent, some intermittent streams going down.
Like it's going to be like the LA River soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Or times where you think that it's flowing and then you'll just see like a duck or a seagull walk across.
Jesus.
Or a lake gull just walk across the water and you realize that it's only like a centimeter deep.
God.
How are things in Los Angeles?
Terrible. I mean, we came out of a drought, but we're back in one, and it's just pretty clear. We don't have any water. We're getting water from other places.
Yeah.
And it's just this big suck hole.
Is Tom Selleck stealing water again out there? Wasn't that like a big?
He was. What was he doing?
Back in 2015, I think it was. There was a big story that up in Ventura County, or a water district near Ventura County had hired a private investigator to track this truck that kept coming down into their district and taking water from a construction site, from a hydrant at a construction site, and then driving back into Ventura County. And when they tracked it back, it was going back to Tom Selleck's avocado ranch.
Holy shit!
Up there, yeah.
Did he know about it?
He said he didn't. I mean, obviously, it happened on many occasions back in like 2013 to 2015, and I don't think it was him actually driving it. It could have been just someone working for him.
He's too busy. Although his show just got canceled.
Oh, did it really? Oh,
yeah.
We better watch out then.
Yeah.
But anyway, they found, and eventually that the other water district had to issue a cease and desist order to his ranch and that truck that was coming down to say, hey, you can't take water from our district back up to your district.
Yeah, that's not right.
Yeah, and the Eric Berg, the water district's manager of resources, said that, this wasn't, the suit against Selleck wasn't meant to be an example of drought shaming.
Right.
Which he says that's a California activity in which people suspected of hogging water are publicly called out.
Huh. Well, I guess that's like my neighbor. I know that people have turned on their neighbors who are like, using tons and tons of water, or watering during the hottest time of the day, or, So I know there's some of that. Now, I used to like water my lawn with bath water because my kids took a bath every night.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn, that's a lot of water.
Yeah.
So I would, I had a siphon, a pump action siphon, and I just siphon it out into the yard. It was great. It really worked. There's a lot of water. I mean, that's a lot of water.
I think that's what, north of Taos, New Mexico, there's the earth ships. And these are they're built from like pounded earth inside recycled tires. And then they do all that where you go to like gray water, you have fresh water, then you have gray water that you can use to do other things.
Yeah, you can even use, you like bath, obviously not toilet water, but you can use bath water. You can use dishwashing sink water.
Yeah.
There's ways of doing it where just to water your lawn and stuff. So you're not, I support that.
Do you shame your neighbor? Do you ever you just notice it?
No. She's, she's in her 90s. I'm not gonna, but she does. She goes out there and sprays down. It's like, what are you doing?
If you're in your 90s, I'm like, let it go.
She, there's no change in her.
But it's not only like individuals that are taking water. In a 2019 article called "The Fight to Stop Nestle from Taking America's Water to Sell in Plastic Bottles," the journalist Tom Perkins says that Nestle Water's worldwide sales in 2018 were over $7.8 billion.
Yes, and they were getting it all for free or pretty cheap.
Yeah. From out in outside of like Lake Arrowhead, up near Lake Arrowhead,
really?
There was a spring.
I was going to guess in Pennsylvania. I thought Hershey was in Pennsylvania.
Well, this is Nestle.
Nestle. Right, Nestle. Yeah.
Okay. And so, anyway, a lot of big companies are going into small rural communities and buying up their water rights.
Jesus.
And apparently, at that point, Nestle Waters was operating outside of Los Angeles near Lake Arrowhead on Strawberry Creek. And it was like a really old agreement back from like 100 years ago that they had somehow got through, acquisitions and everything. And what they say is that Perkins says in 2018, Nestle Waters took 45 million gallons from Strawberry Creek in San Bernardino, California.
Jesus.
And they sold it under the Arrowhead Water brand. And since then, in 2021, Nestle Waters was sold to a private equity firm. And then the Nestle Waters was relabeled BlueTriton Brands. And then just recently, like 2 weeks ago, or back in August, apparently the U.S. Forest Service had to again issue an order trying to get BlueTriton Brands to stop taking water out of Strawberry Creek over there from the Forest Service out in San Bernardino County.
What, they just run a hose into it or at night? Just like pump as much as they can out of there?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was, and of course
Jesus.
they've like, gone in and they filed a counter to keep doing it.
Wow.
But just shows you
Meanwhile,
how
we're
much.
drinking our poo water that's been reclaimed.
Right. Or we're buying their water that they're getting for next to nothing off of the Forest Service land,
Wow.
And then in an article titled "Water is More Valuable Than Oil" from April of this year, 2024, Manvi Singh discusses how a private company bought 500 acres of farmland in Arizona about 10 years ago. And they bought it not to farm it, but just to get the water rights.
Wow.
And so what they did is they've recently sold the water rights to a housing development about 200 miles away outside of Phoenix.
How do they get it out there?
Just pump it up, and I think they're I don't know if they're taking it in trucks or if they're sending it through pipes or whatever.
Wow.
But it's gone to the point. It's like remember in the movie Chinatown,
Yes.
with Los Angeles and the Owens Valley.
What a great movie.
Yeah.
Oh.
She's my sister.
Yeah. Wait, what? What just happened?
Yeah.
All that happens at the end too, where you're like, what's going on?
Yeah, like I kind of understood the water issue now. And
Yeah.
throwing this thing in there. That's like.
And then he's got that nasty broken nose the whole time, which is great.
Yeah. I think he cut his nose, right? Didn't what's his face?
Yeah.
The director cut his nose or whatever. Playing
Oh, really? It was an accident?
No, I'm saying that what's his face played
the director. Right.
He's playing the character that cuts his nose, and then he has to have that the whole time in there, which always seems like a good idea in the script to do something like that. And then later you're just like, God.
Oh, God. Where is he? He's in the makeup room getting the nose thing done.
Yeah, I know.
God damn it.
You're just creating continuity problems for yourself, too. It's like, oh, God.
I had one of my first scenes, they were shooting the master, which is the wide angle of the whole thing. So whatever happens in that, you got to match, the rest of the thing. And I'm sitting next to Eric Stoltz, the movie star, and they serve us and they give me a burrito, and I ate the whole burrito during the scene. And he's like, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that." And I'm like, "What? Why?" And then we shot 15 more scenes, and I had to eat the burrito every single time. It was God, such a newbie lesson. It was great.
But he was just like, no,
you shouldn't have done that. You always know old-timey actors who have worked a lot where, if they're given a prop, they'll immediately set it down.
Right.
Because then you don't have to match it, and
right.
Thing. But new people, man, you give a young actor a prop, he'll do all this crazy shit with it, and then it's like you got to do it every take.
exactly the same.
How you did it.
That's hilarious. When I first moved out here to New Mexico in 2010, Las Vegas, New Mexico was in the middle of a big drought when we first came out here.
Yeah.
And it was bad enough that they were rationing water. I mean, people couldn't, take baths or couldn't take showers as much.
Ew.
Yeah. And you can nothing puts people on edge like having limited water.
Yeah.
You could just feel it. Feel it.
Yeah.
And when you take away easy access to water, you begin to see how quickly things fall apart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How people begin to kind of turn on each other a little
bit.
And one time Mary and I were camping up at Lake Murphy here in northern New Mexico, which is about 8,000 feet. And you have to cart in all your water, all your supplies. It's one of those types of places.
God, I hate that kind of camping. Exhausting. What are you putting Mary through that for?
She wanted to go up there. She's the one that loves camping. I like much rather being in a hotel myself.
Yeah, me too.
But she, anyway, we had taken in these big jugs of water because I was afraid of I didn't want to be without water out there.
Right.
And so we went for, and the people next to us that came in late at night, the night before, and there's certain people that like to go camping to get away from noise, and other people that like to go to make noise.
Yes. Yes. They go to party.
Right.
Great outdoors.
And so they were partying like all night long, which is cool to me because I used to be that type of camper.
Yep.
But then the next morning, Mary and I got up, we went for a hike, and when I came back, I could swear that our water jug was lower.
Whoa. Those sons of bitches.
Right.
Wow.
I couldn't prove it. You know what I mean? You can't really go say anything. But I was like, I could tell.
Yeah.
I could tell. And they weren't making eye contact with us. They were kind of over there.
Oh, and they forgot their water and came over and stole some of yours.
Right.
They remembered the beer, but forgot the water.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
And so I was like completely, again, when it's limited, there's only so much water there.
Yeah.
I lost my mind. I was I was paranoid. I was like, every time I'd hear something, the next night when we were going to sleep, I'd hear something outside. I was unzipping the tent, poking my head out there to see what was going on.
Right.
But again, it's just one of those things when you can see how when something so important like water starts to disappear.
Yep.
You can see how that can put people on edge.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the end days.
Right.
We're all going to be killing each other for water. Did you see Dune where they suck the water out of the dead people and use it again?
No, I didn't see that one.
Oh, God, what a great movie. I love Dune. I love that shit. Yeah.
The new one or the old one? Do you like the new one?
Both.
Yeah.
I'll watch them. I'll watch them at the same time on two different TVs and sync them up to, Pink Floyd.
That's awesome.
It's great.
So let's get a little scientific background on water real quick. In his book, Planet Water, Investing in the World's Most Valuable Resource, Steve Hoffman says, the simplicity of the atomic structure of a water or hydrogen oxide molecule belies its extraordinarily unique electromagnetic properties.
Would you like me to give you the formula?
Yeah, can you?
It's H2O.
There we go.
2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen.
Right. And apparently what's interesting about it is that you have 2 really light hydrogen atoms attached to a heavy oxygen atom.
Yeah.
Or relatively heavy.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with water. That's what makes it so unique, is that gives it all of its anomalous properties.
And interesting.
Is that composition of what's happening, the weight between the hydrogen and the oxygen. So, so again, just in other words, there's in your water that you're drinking, there's some really cool, unique molecular activity going on.
I hear that. That makes total sense to me.
And Hoffman notes that he says that hydrogen bonding causes molecules of water to be attracted to each other, forming strong molecular bonds, and explains many of the anomalous properties. And he also says that it's the strong affinity for chemical bonding with other nuclei enables many of life's reactions. So that's what's happening that's what's so unique about this planet, and what's so unique about water is that it's the structure, the molecular structure allows life.
God damn.
And Hoffman says that it's believed that large amounts of water have flowed on Earth for over 3.8 billion years.
Wow.
Yeah. And it composes approximately 75% of the Earth's surface in liquid or solid states. So like you think about the oceans.
Yep.
And then it's also in vapor up in the atmosphere. We have water and vapor up in the atmosphere.
Really? I guess I knew that. I don't know.
Yeah. And then he talks about the hydrologic cycle, which goes from evapotranspiration, condensation, precipitation, and collection. And he says that water molecules are in a continuous movement, cycling through well-defined states.
Yes, that's what's so cool about it. We learned
Yeah.
that, it gets evaporated, then it rains, then we
Right,
drink it,
right,
then
right.
we pee it out, and then we eat the pee now because that's supposed to be healthy. Did you know? I mean, people are drinking a lot of pee.
Oh
Did
yeah,
you
because
know that?
that water's already been cycled through because we have a constant state of water, or basically a constant state of
Yeah.
water. And in the Great River, the Rio Grande in North America, Paul Horgan describes it, the hydrologic cycle. He says a huge and exquisite balance is preserved.
Hmm.
Whatever the amount of its element the sea gives up to the atmosphere by evaporation, the sea regains exactly the same amount from the water which falls upon the earth and flows back to its source.
Love
And
that.
I
The
know, I
circle of
know.
life.
And Elizabeth McAnally, in her book Loving Water Across Religions, says that water is renewable yet finite.
Yes.
So,
Yes. You can't make water.
right.
But yet
And
we can make diamonds. That's weird. Why can't we make water?
I don't know.
We can
I don't
grow
know.
diamonds in a lab, but we can't make water? Maybe we can.
Maybe we can. I don't know. I'll do some more research and post
Yeah.
it on the.
This is not the podcast for that.
Right. But this is just background for us. This is
Yeah.
just background for them.
Yeah.
But Hoffman says that 97% of water is salt water contained in oceans, leaving only about 3% fresh water.
Really? I would not have thought that little.
Right.
Damn.
And of all the fresh water available, only 1% is surface fresh water.
It's all down under.
Right. It's down under or locked up in polar ice caps, glaciers, or permanent snows.
Yeah, not so permanent anymore. We're going to have to melt that shit now.
Right. And all told, only about 0.036% of the planet's total water supply is found in rivers and lakes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's
That's
not very
lower
much.
than I would have predicted.
Yeah. And so why is that so important? Well, it's obvious that we need water to survive as humans.
Yeah.
And Medical News Today says that the average person can only survive about 3 days without water.
Yes, I've heard that. Did I test it out? You want me to go without it for 3 days, see what happens?
It sounds like you're drinking so much water. Maybe you're taking somebody else's 3 days.
I know. I'm drinking the same water that could, oh my God. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And then, of course, they say that 2/3 of a person's body weight is water.
Yep. I learned that in Dune.
Really?
No,
they go into. Are they
sucked
humans
it up.
in that?
You can see all the water coming out of them. They suck them up.
We'll have to post some of that.
Yeah.
And the Medical News Daily says that all of the cells in the body require water to work. And water is the basis of all bodily fluids, such as saliva, blood, sweat, urine, and joint fluid.
Joint fluid?
In your joints.
Okay.
And Cleveland Clinic says that the amount of water that you need, men need about 100 ounces, which is 3.1 liters per day.
3.1 liters per day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And women usually on average need about 2.1 liters per day.
Wow. Well, I must be drinking it because I'm feeling good with my water. Look at this skin. You think this just happens?
Yeah. My next question was going to be, have you ever experienced dehydration? But I don't think you ever have.
No. I get thirsty. I put some chapstick on and fill up a glass of water.
What's your pee look like? Because they say if you have to look if your pee's like kind of yellowish, light yellow, you're okay. But if it starts getting a little darker, then you need to watch out that you're not getting enough.
Mine's black, like oil.
The other thing, and this is something you may want to watch out for. If you drink too much water, you can have low sodium. It's called hyponatremia. From drinking too much water in a short period of time.
What does it do to you? What happens?
Well, you can die. You can get water toxicity from it. And in 2007, in Sacramento, California, there was a woman who was competing in a contest called Hold Your Wii for a Wii, meaning a video game.
What?
And the contestants had to drink a bunch of water without going to the bathroom.
What? Who came up with this?
I know. And
that's not right.
Yeah, apparently a nurse called during the contest and was like, you guys know that's dangerous to be doing that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they kept doing it or what, but anyway, one of the contestants died from having water toxicity, from drinking so much water without,
Jesus,
in a short
that'd
period
be
of time.
Perfect for me to die from an overdose of water.
I know.
That would just be like, Jesus.
Of all the things that you put into your body.
All the things, yeah. Oh, my God.
Lehr OD'd on water. He OD'd
not from huffing oven cleaner. No, not that.
Yeah.
Water.
Not from heroin. Not from, fentanyl. He drank too much water.
Water. God.
And then also McAnally, just real quick, she says, as we get older, the amount of water in our body decreases. And it goes, usually as a child or an infant has 75% of their body weight is water. And then when you get old, it's 55%.
Huh. That's why you get all wrinkly?
Yeah, I think it is. You get all that crepey skin.
Not me. I'm going to have 2 IVs flowing at all times.
I mean, people will be complaining, like trying to drought shame you. It's like, geez, there's a drought. Look how much water that guy's drinking.
Look at him. He's putting so much water in him.
Yeah, but look at his skin.
Fabulous.
The other thing we need to have clean water. And apparently Hoffman says an estimated 1.8 million deaths occur annually from diarrheal disease.
Yeah.
Caused by pathogens that are in water.
And I would assume that's over the ages. That was a huge cause of death.
Yeah. It's better than now than it is.
And yeah. Oh, God. Imagine having diarrhea just for like a year.
Well, like that even, yeah.
God.
Yeah. Oh. I don't like diarrhea now even. I have Tums.
Nobody does.
Alka-Seltzer, everything. So
you know what's good for diarrhea? Drink some water.
Really?
Yeah, go pound water.
I always do the Pink Lady. I always have a bottle of Pepto in there. The Pink Lady just chilling in there.
Look up the Pink Lady, because I call it the Pink Lady, and everybody I call it to is like, "What are you talking about?"
I've been calling it that for years.
I know. I think I picked that up from you, and I'm like, Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah.
The Pink Lady. You never heard
it's like a mixed drink or something. I gotta give me a Pink Lady.
I love it. I love that term. You know why it's pink? It's because it's really black. And they have to dye, because it's charcoal. And they have to dye it pink so people would, wouldn't mind drinking it.
Really? Because that's what happens to your poo, right? Your poo becomes black when you drink.
Yeah, it's just charcoal. That's all it is.
Oh, Jesus.
Apparently that settles our stomach. So I eat a briquette every morning.
I was going to say, that could be a lot easier.
Like a half a gallon of water. And look at me. I'm doing great.
McAnally says a United Nations study in 2013 found that more people in the world have cell phones than toilets.
Wow.
So at that time in 2013, she said, of the world's 7 billion people, 6 billion had mobile phones, while only 2.5 billion or 2.5 billion did not have access to toilets.
My God.
If you had to choose, what would you have? Cell phone or
totally cell phone. I get it. Yeah. Because then I just go find a bathroom near me and do what my phone tells me to do.
Really?
Yeah, I just live off the land. There's a lot of public because these countries, Bratislava and Sofia, were Soviet. They were, and so there's all these Soviet block buildings. So cool.
Yeah,
and they for some reason the Soviets liked having a lot of outdoor bathrooms.
That's nice.
So there are all these outdoor bathrooms.
Yeah,
I used an outdoor bathroom in San Francisco that was unbelievable. You get in there, you use it, or the person before you uses
Yeah.
it, and then it won't let the next person in for a second, and you hear
Yeah,
all this
yeah.
washing and stuff, and you go in there, and it's wet, but it's clean. It's so
Yeah.
amazing.
Wow. Where was that? How much did you have to pay for that? Or did you have to pay for that?
It was free.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good things.
But you have to pay for bathrooms at train stations here in Europe, but it's totally worth it. It's totally worth it. It's like 60, it's like half a euro. But you go in, there was this one in Germany, I think, where the toilet seat spun. So where the toilet seat the hinges, where the hinges on the porcelain there, there's cleaning fluid in there. So the toilet seat turns and it cleans it as it rotates through there.
Yeah. I don't know. Europeans do it better. They do it better.
Although, you know what? It's easier just to use one of the cowboy hats,
Is it? How's the bathroom there in the hotel? It's a hotel.
Clean. Everything's clean.
How about last night at the place?
Did
you use the bathroom there?
Was it clean? Susan's making a noise that's sitting like she doesn't want it to smell.
Okay.
It was clean. It was very small. It had the smallest dental sink I've ever seen. I couldn't get in it. I couldn't even get my lips under it to get water to rinse my mouth out.
Have you ever used a Turkish toilet? There were just two bricks over a hole. Have you?
Yes.
That's hard for me to do. Yeah.
No, I need certain things to just.
Yeah. When I'll spend like if I ever run into that situation, I'll spend like $1,000 to drive back to the capital of whatever country I'm in.
to
use the bathroom in the airport.
Yeah.
And then I'll spend $1,000 back.
Yep. Okay, I've seen it.
So
what about bidet? Do you use a bidet?
I don't. We want to get a bidet, but we don't have an outlet near our toilet right now. So it's going to be a major operation.
Oh, right. I was going to buy you one.
The
heated one. I know the model. I want to get you. That's a toilet. That's where you replace the toilet seat and it hooks up to water and electricity.
Yeah.
And it warms you and a wand comes out.
Ooh.
I'm talking about the old school bidet where it looks like a urinal next to the toilet, but it's not a urinal.
Yeah.
It's got a sprout there. We were we were just at a place in Bratislava where they had one.
Yeah.
And I was like, great. And I used it and got water all over the bathroom. I made it.
That's one where you could just go to Home Depot, get a bucket and run a hose into your bathroom.
Yeah.
And kind of have the
siphon it.
Yeah.
But you got to suck into the hose to get the siphon started.
So anyway, why has all of a sudden in the last few decades this water become such a problem? And McAnally in her book says that, it's because we're using more water. There's more of us and we're using more water right now.
Okay. Well, you don't need to be a genius to come up with that.
She says an estimated 70% of water worldwide is withdrawn for agriculture.
Okay.
So you think of them.
Yeah.
22% for industry. So a lot of the big businesses are using water.
Yeah. And they're not like shutting it down and checking on the drips or anything.
No, nobody's drought shaming them about it.
Yeah.
And then only 8% is used for domestic uses for us.
Wow.
Well,
we're going to have to lasso a big thing of an iceberg.
An iceberg, yeah. But it's still the same amount of water, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's still, we're going to have to.
Yeah.
But anyway, she says for most of our history, the Earth's fresh water has been enough to provide for all human needs. And so what's happened, recently is, again, just the world population is growing so much.
Yeah.
And not only the world population, but you think of, we have more people, we also have the industry has to use more water to make more crap for us.
Ugh.
And then we need more water for agriculture, for the food to support all of us.
Almonds use a lot of water. That's a big
thing
in California.
Yeah.
They're very upset about that. God, I love almonds though. They're so
too.
great. You know what's great about an almond? When you get it up and down and you crack it just right and it splits perfectly in your mouth and then it's smooth on the insides. You ever do that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I want to do it now.
Yeah, put it up and down vertical and then you crack it and it'll crack perfectly and then the inside is smooth. God, I love almonds.
You be careful. I don't want you cracking your teeth or anything.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, the United Nations Population Division said that in 2024, there were 8.2 billion people in the world.
Okay.
And then in the coming 50 or 60 years, we'll have 10.3 billion people in the mid 2080s.
Wow.
So there'll be 2.5 billion more people.
When is that?
In the 2080s.
So that's 60. I'll be dead. Oh, God, because that just seems crowded. Although I love cities.
That's a lot of people.
Isn't that when we're just like taking all the money from the billionaires and their rockets and everything, be like, okay, thank you. Now we got to save the planet and put us all in stasis. Then fly us to Mars, and then we have to live in habitats to terraform. It's gonna suck. It's gonna be like camping.
Oh God. Yeah.
Except you could never go out of your tent.
Yeah, you have to stay in there by yourself in there.
It's miserable.
Yeah, that sounds. And then after they say after it reaches like around 2100, then it may come back down to 10.2 billion. But that's still a lot of people. A lot of people in the world.
We got to start eating each other. We know that.
Yeah.
We've talked about that on this podcast.
In his article, A History of Water Distribution, Thomas Walsky says that early humans, prehistorically, had to carry their water from the source to the point of consumption. With such an effort required, only minimal water for drinking and washing was available. Yeah. So you couldn't have like the long showers or long baths. Yeah.
Oh, don't you love a long shower?
I do love a long shower.
So embarrassed to say it, but it's so nice. Why is that so good? Just have water sprayed on us. It just feels so good.
I think that's what we're talking about. There's a connection to it.
Yeah.
We love the water about it.
It's a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
You ever tub? Do you tub?
If I've had a really bad day, I like to have a tub.
Wow.
I gotta go have
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. If I'm really stressed out and pissed off after work, I gotta go in and lay down in the tub. Hot tub for a while.
All right. I'll keep that in mind if we ever live together.
Of course, you had Roman aqueducts that were built around 312 BC was the first one. In Crete, you have, again, water pipes going back to 1400 BC.
That's the thing with these, sorry to interrupt. That's the thing, the thing with these places I've been going. There's just Roman ruins. They've got Roman ruins running out their ass. They don't even put them in museums. Like they'll just have stacks. You'll just walk by and see something with Roman writing on it, just sitting in a park where they just leaned it up. It's amazing.
That's amazing to think that, I had somebody one time gave it, it was a coin. Maybe it was my brother gave me a coin that was from Constantinople or something back in like 300 BC or 300 AD.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, that must have cost you a lot. And they really didn't because the Romans had so many of those coins.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then you find them in your yard. You're like, oh, Jesus. I can't mow over that. It's going to come out at me and take my kneecap out.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's funny that they, even now, they're just like, oh, God, another Roman, just lay it out there in the park.
It's amazing. Everywhere you go. It's everywhere you go. There's Roman ruins. Incredible.
Here in North America, Brian Fagan, in his book, Elixir, A History of Water and Humankind.
Brian Fagan? Isn't he a musician or something?
No. What's a Fagan from Steely Dan? Steely Dan.
Okay, sorry.
He says that in the Sun Valley around Phoenix at one time was once the most populous and agriculturally productive valley in the Southwest before 1500 AD.
Wow.
And it was the Hohokam people had, over more than 10 centuries, they built a vast canal network up to 22 miles long.
Wow.
So, and I've known people who have worked on Hohokam sites and just talk about how you could still see where the old canals were.
What happened? What happened?
I think it was just for whatever reason, the drought got so bad and they just had to disperse.
Yeah.
And then now, it's like you're out in Phoenix. You never think about it. At one time, there was a huge canal network out there that
Wow. That's
could
so
supply
wild.
so much stuff. And then just another thing, which I found in a book called Water and Natural History by a woman named Alice Outwater.
Oh my God, Alice.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting. With that name, of course, you got to write a book about water. But she talks about a few other things that kind of led to the water situation in North America. Is at one time, it's estimated there were 200 million beavers living in North America.
200 million. Yeah, I know, because the beaver hat thing craze was so big that we killed all the beavers. So we killed 200 million beavers?
200 million beavers. And the thing is, when a beaver builds a dam and makes it creates a wetland around it.
Yeah.
And so those beaver dams used to hold a lot of water for when people first came here, colonists first came here. And for Native Americans who lived here, the beavers, there was a lot of water available.
Yeah.
And so because of the beaver hat craze in the 1500s and 1600s, when we killed all the beavers and got rid of those wetlands, it diminished our available water.
God.
At the time.
For hats.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing she talks about where we used to get a lot of our water, what used to keep our water, were buffalo wallows, where a buffalo would kind of wallow around on the ground to kind of put dirt on its back to get rid of insects. And those buffalo wallows were like open areas that would allow water to just seep down into the groundwater.
Wow.
Yeah. When it would rain. Yeah. So again, when we killed all the buffalo, we didn't have those buffalo wallows anymore.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then finally, the last one she talks about were prairie dog villages. At one point, it's thought that billions of prairie dogs lived here in North America. And the prairie dogs in their towns, they would go down below the root levels of the grass and everything. So when the rains would come and they'd seep down into the prairie dog holes.
Interesting.
It was a way to get the water right back into the groundwater again as well.
Wow.
So
the trees wouldn't suck it all up.
Right. It wouldn't just evaporate or the grass. There was a lot of grass.
Do you ever get amazed about how long roots are? Tree roots. You'll see, I have this tree and I noticed that the roots are under the road on the other side. It's amazing.
Yeah. Didn't you have trouble with the roots growing into your...
Everybody in our neighborhood does, because some genius, and I know the guy, he's now passed away, but he was there when the neighborhood was, years and years ago, and he planted ficus trees all up and down the, and the thing about ficus trees is they have these amazing little tiny microscopic root systems, and they could get in, and it's all of our sewage lines are clay, so it was able to get in there and clog it all up, and you just see it down this happens, it moves down the street where plumbers will come in and have to clean them out. And it's just amazing.
So it would just grow through the pipes themselves?
Yeah, just find little tiny, imperfections and get in there and then clog it all. Then it would just go, because those trees love poo. They just love it.
So John, so far we've been talking about the effects on humans of water physically, but now we're going to talk a little bit about spiritually as well.
Okay.
And Steve Solomon, he says that almost every mythology sees the origins of life coming from water.
Yes.
So if you think of all the origin stories, in water in mythology, Michael Witzel says water in its various forms, as salty ocean water, as sweet river water, or as rain, has played a major role in human myths. And he talks about in the Rig Veda, the Indian text going back to 1200 BC, it says, "In the beginning, darkness was hidden by darkness. All this world was an unrecognizable ocean." And then, of course, you have the king, or in the Hebrew Bible, it says, "In the beginning, the gods created heaven and earth, and the spirit of the gods hovered over the water."
Mm.
And then also that in the Christian Bible, that became, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth, and the spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters."
Mm.
And then, in Indian text, Witzel notes that rivers are regarded as goddesses, as inviolate ladies, and it refers to their beneficial waters of the rivers. And Elizabeth McAnally says that the Yamuna River in northern India is considered by Hindus to be one of the most sacred rivers of India, and it's been an aquatic form of divinity for thousands of years.
Amazing.
Yeah, which I love. I love seeing a river as a goddess.
I get
as an
that.
actual,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm that way with trees. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm very much a druid. I just love big trees. Susan does too. She says
Really?
she loves trees.
Yeah.
It's we're like a niche market.
Like Shintos in the redwood forest.
Yeah, Shintos in the redwood forest.
Yeah. In her
but
book,
if you've ever been by a babbling brook, I mean, it's just the most incredible, soothing thing in the world.
Yeah, McAnally, actually, speaking of that, she says Yamuna is the chief lover of Krishna, the youthful god who entrances cowherd maidens with his divine flute music. And the river is the flowing stream of liquid love between Krishna and Yamuna. And her waters, the sounds of her waters, are sacred sounds full of love for Krishna.
Ooh, it's getting hot in here. That's some sexy talk. Man.
Yeah. And her the rushing river sounds are interpreted as the jingling of her anklets on her running feet as she hurries to her lover.
Oh,
isn't that lovely?
Sweet.
Yeah. In the book, The Way of the Water Priestess, Annwyn Avalon says that throughout the Greek and Roman worlds, springs were well known as dwelling places for nymphs. So again, our springs and the water was places where the gods lived.
There's this place called Big Sur up the coast, and there's a hike up waterfall and a spring up there, and it just looks straight out of Jurassic Park. It's crazy.
Really?
Oh my God, wow. It's so beautiful.
Thich Nhat Hanh, who's a Vietnamese Zen Buddhist monk, McAnally says, he said that the water we experience in daily life is itself a bodhisattva. Water is a good friend, a bodhisattva which nourishes the many thousands of species on Earth. The benefits are numberless. So I like hearing that too.
That.
Yeah.
Bodhisattva, let me take you by the hand.
We've come back around. We've come back around to Steely Dan. And then, of course, you have like in baptism where we use water to like spiritually cleanse somebody as well.
That's right.
And then what was it that the mikvah?
The mikvah. The mikvah is a Jewish some water. It has to be running water. It has to be living water. So they keep them in synagogues, and they look like a little it was
like a hot tub. It was like a hot tub.
Yes, but the way they get around it is they get frozen river water.
Yeah.
And drop a piece of frozen. I love the Jews. They figure it out. They're just like, whatever. So they just let a little bit of frozen river water in there, and now suddenly it's a mikvah.
But that was the significance too of that because I went to see you. I saw you get naked and me and the rabbis and Jenna, you jump in there.
Yeah, you were my witness. You were you have to bring a wingman to convert. You were my guy. And then the three rabbis coming in there. Wasn't that crazy? Yeah.
That was
the craziest
crazy.
thing ever.
Yeah.
And I had to get fully submerged. It was cool. It was really amazing experience. However, of course, it's also, to cleanse women after their menstrual cycle. And there's all kinds of ways that it's, I don't know. Anyway, I have lots of feelings about that.
Yeah. For
But
you though, it was the cleansing, right? Before you
yeah,
became
yeah,
Jewish.
it was like, it koshered me kind of in a way,
Yeah.
like I came out cleansed and then I was ready to convert. It was
Yeah.
cool. It was really
Yeah.
spiritual
It was very
experience.
cool. Yeah. I
Yeah.
wanted to jump in there too. I
Yeah,
wanted to get
you
in
could
there
have
too
gotten
when
in
you
there.
were
Well, I peed in there, so not too good.
Uh, so here in New Mexico too, there is a water irrigation system. I just want to talk about quickly, called the Acequia system,
Mm,
Acequia, and the
huh.
Acequia system it's a gravity fed. You dig ditches from a river or a water source, and then they branch off and they go out, and you can have gates on them that you open the gate and water floods out into the fields. And it was actually brought to Spain by the Arabs when the Arabs controlled Spain. And then the Spanish brought it to the New World and then brought it to New Mexico. And it still exists in the Acequia system in northern New
Wow,
Mexico.
and it works.
And it works, yeah. And in her book, Acequia Water Sharing Sanctity and Place, Sylvia Rodriguez, she talks about the cultural and religious significance of water in Hispano-Acequia communities, as well as like the folk Catholic holy sites, which are often associated with water.
Yeah, we go to I feel like there was water there. We went to some.
We went to Chimayo, which is a shrine site where
Yes.
they have holy dirt, but behind it, if you remember, there is like a very spiritual stream running behind Chimayo, the shrine.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
My synapses still fire.
And Rodriguez says, quote, the scarcity of water in New Mexico demanded some means of allocating the vital substance.
Hmm.
Lacking formal governmental structures, the colonists resorted to a form of democratic collectivism motivated by self-interest. And so again, she says the principle at work here resembles and may well derive from, this is a quote, from the Islamic rite of thirst, which dictates that all living creatures have a right to water, and the Islamic rite of irrigation, which gives all users the right to irrigate their crops.
Yeah. Because you can only let the gate, it must be that you can only let the gate open. You got to share, you got to trade
Right,
off, or there's not enough pressure to get the water back where you need it.
right, right. Well, and
So
it's also, there's
if
a guy
everybody
called,
opens their gates, then it won't work anymore.
right, right. And you have to, everyone participates in that. And it's almost, she says it's a moral community. Like there's a moral agreement between
Uh-huh.
people.
Yeah.
And so there's a guy called the Mayordomo who's elected, who kind of oversee for each of these associations. He's the guy who oversees like when the gate is open. So
Uh-huh.
if I am a parciante or a participant in the
You'd be a good
immigration system,
gate domo, I
I don't
think.
know.
I would vote for you.
It's a lot of responsibility to it.
Yeah, but you're a very responsible person.
But you would say, okay, John, you get to open the gate at sundown on Friday night, and you have to close it at sunrise to go into your field. So
Yeah.
your field would have its own gate.
Right.
And then that's one of the ways that it could run. Other ways, there's two different systems. One's called the Syrian system, which says it's kind of like the amount of land that you can flood.
Uh-huh.
And then the other one's the Yemenite system, which is like the time release, saying you get to open your gate from sundown Friday until
I
sun
like
up
the
on Saturday.
Yemenite personally.
Yeah. And then just real quick, Rodriguez says, water and blood are linked in the popular saying, agua es la sangre de la tierra, or water is the earth's blood.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think. All right, John. So just wrapping up real quick, I hadn't started out this week. I hadn't started out to be spiritual about this topic. I thought I would just be like writing about when plumbing was invented and stuff like
Right.
that,
Right.
But over the course of the week, I began thinking like, well, what happens if water and running water and springs are the places where saints and gods and goddesses and nymphs are supposed to live? What happens when all of those start drying up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to me, when it was like, well, why humans need water, to me, it's more than just the physical need of water. It's the spiritual need, because I think as rivers dry up, or as we lose rivers, or as like corporations take water from a river and then bottle it up and sell it, we're losing our connection to the earth, or to who we've always been. Like, humans have always needed water for millions of years.
This is why I would elect you Domo of the water gates.
So,
yeah.
But anyway, I don't know.
Agree 100%. Agree 100%.
Yeah. It was completely unexpected that I would come to that, because I'm not really a environmentalist or anything, but it was like, I came back to just like, hey, if we lose our water, there's more than just physically losing it. We're losing our spirituality about the whole thing. So anyway, so to finish, in her book, Loving Water Across Religions, Elizabeth McAnally describes, she has a mindfulness practice that we can do, she says, to help be present and respectful when we drink water. So John, I had asked you to have a glass of water here, and we're going to follow her instructions real quick.
Look, this was full at the start. I've been drinking it. Is that enough, or do I need more?
No, you're fine, because here's what McAnally says. She says, quote, "We can begin with a very basic activity that we do unconsciously many times throughout the day. You apparently do it more than other people, John." And that's drinking water. And she says, this practice asks us to pay close attention as we drink. Fill up a glass with clean drinking water and listen to the sound as you fill it up. Okay. And then she says, what do you notice? Before taking a sip, take a moment and hold the glass in your hand. Look at the water. Okay, so you're looking at the water as well. What do you see? Smell it. Does it have a smell?
No,
this one doesn't. So we have clean water. That's something we should be aware of, that we're lucky that we have clean water.
This is Austrian. I mean, this is Alps water.
And then she says, now swallow the water. So take a little sip there, John. How does it feel to drink this clean water?
Oh, great. Just flows right down your throat.
You could feel it.
Yeah.
You could feel it going down.
It's so slippery.
Yeah. It's very soothing. And then she says, what would you say to this water? What would you say to this water, John?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm going to drink a hell of a lot more of you.
That's what I think I would say the same thing. When I look at it, I would say, thank you, water. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
I love you. I love you, water.
Me too. Yeah.
Thank you for not giving up on this, as even though it can be, we make it difficult for water, I think. And then finally, I think I would say, water, if you see Tom Selleck coming in a water truck, then run like hell.
Yeah.
Run like hell.
Text us.
Yeah.
And then I to mine, I think I would sing to it. A raindrops keep falling on my head.
That's sweet. But
that doesn't mean my eyes will soon be. I used to sing that to my kids every night.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they like it?
I don't know. But I kept doing it. They were too young to stop me.
All right, John. So anyway, all I'm saying is that respect water, be thankful for water. I don't know. It's going to be. We'll still have the same amount of water, but it's going to get a lot harder to get water when there's 10 billion of us trying to get it. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to go drink Mars water, which let me tell you, ain't going to be as tasty as Austrian water. All
right, everybody.
This is human number 2 signing off from Austria.
And this is human number 1 signing off from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you found this interesting, please tell a friend about it. And also, don't forget to check out Watson & Company socks, Puppies Not Piranhas on Etsy, and also the Two Humans Cave Shop on Cafe Press as well.
Yes. So. And I will be posting that in the Podbean. I think I did it last week, but I'll do it again.
Okay.
I'll do it from here on out. It'll be a link in the show notes.
There's all kinds of places where they have tumblers and like water jugs, everything that you.
Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of, we sell all kinds of things that could hold water.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And underwear. We sell underwear.
And
too.
underwear, yeah. But not socks. Those we get from Watson. And I brought them on my trip.
That's great. They had a thing, Watson Company, just to show how great they are. They had a special running last week that for every pair you bought, a pair was donated to people who needed them from the hurricane.
Nothing worse than your feet getting, once your feet are wet for a long period of time, that's horrid. Yeah. That's really.
I bought 12 pairs last week just to donate them to other people. But that just shows you how good Watson and Company is. What good people they are. So
it's a win-win.
Right. All right, John.
All
Thanks
right.
for listening, everybody. We love you. Love you, John. Be careful on the way home. We will talk to you soon.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated and go thank a glass of water, everybody. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.